So, Josh, where is your travels taking you lately? Your expeditions?
Last week I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Mm.
You ever been?
Yes, I have.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
That was part of the tour.
Yeah, that was part of the tour. Don't remember the place we played, but yeah, it was in Tulsa.
Yeah. That's funny now that you say that. I remember, so good friends of ours, as you and I have talked about this, but they live in Bentonville, Arkansas, which is like an hour and 45-minute drive to Tulsa, but they came and visited me while on set,
Nice.
which was cool. But also he mentioned that that's one of the places they go for concerts and some other things, because it is the closest big city to them. Like, that's the closest Apple store. That's the closest Lexus dealership, whatever, like those kind of things that you can't. You said the other one option is Kansas City, Missouri, but that's like 2.5 hours north of them. So
I don't remember how much of a city Tulsa was, like felt like a city though.
Yeah, it's definitely not, it doesn't feel like, like even as big as Baltimore or Pittsburgh. Okay. Like, it's not that, doesn't feel that big, but it still feels like a city. I'm trying to think of, kind of like Harrisburg, PA. Oh, okay. Kind of that, where there's a downtown area with bigger buildings, and kind of, but it's also not like massive city. So, which is, probably not bad.
It's interesting that there's, I guess, that many bands actually come through Tulsa. Well, if that's like the area.
There's, I think,
decent venues.
The state college is there.
That's true.
Right, like Oklahoma State or something like that, or something. Yeah. So you get those kind of things, and that really helps. It
does help. I remember the main places we would play a lot when it was somewhere more like that, where I was like, didn't seem as populated. It normally would be like a college town, or near a college, which definitely helps a lot.
Yeah. So.
Cool. Yeah. Well,
we both been.
Anything else? Yeah. Anything else about Tulsa? Anything interesting?
Not really.
Besides Chandler Bing is what I always think of. The Tulsa, but
that's right. That's right. Nope. Hey, welcome back to Screen Time TV, a podcast where we discuss the latest show. Dig into one show and talk about other things we've been watching, and also the fan favorite Based or Waste. So, Jared, I normally don't write things down because I normally don't think before I talk, which got me into trouble before a lot.
Yeah.
So my name's Josh, and this is my co-host, Jared.
The axe forgets, but the tree remembers.
Okay.
Awesome quote.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't know what it's from?
I don't know what it's from, no.
You will. Once I get a context, it'll make sense.
All right. Well, let's see, before we get into what we're watching, do we want to do the feedback?
Yes. Yeah, we got an email.
From a listener or watcher, I don't know. One or the other.
Listener and or watcher. Yeah. So we got an email from our dude, Kyle. All right, so he says, I meant to write in a few weeks ago after the last Severance pod, but kept forgetting. As a fairly new listener to the podcast, I just wanted to say again that I really enjoy your guys' content and have been tuning in every week, not just for the Severance episodes. So that's cool.
Awesome,
Thank
Kyle.
You, Kyle.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, so he says, you mentioned a few times that Josh is in the film industry in some capacity, and I'd love to hear more about it. Maybe you've talked about it in depth in previous episodes, but I'm super fascinated to learn more. In the episode where you covered CinemaCon, Josh mentioned filming some interview content, so I'm assuming you're a camera op. So Kyle then says he's in the multimedia field, not the film industry, unfortunately. But I totally nerd out over production equipment.
Okay.
So my question for Josh is, could you talk more about what you do for work and what gear you typically use? Anyways, thanks again for the podcast. I'm stoked to follow along with The Last of Us coverage and Adam McKay.
Sweet. Well,
also a very important PS, Based or Waste slaps. So thank you. I appreciate someone mentioning it.
Yeah. Thank you, Kyle. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we've ever covered it in depth. We definitely mentioned things offhand on the
Yeah, we
podcast.
really only mentioned like you do
Yeah.
film and I do music. Yeah.
So, so my career, I've basically been a commercial film director for 20 years.
Has it been that long? Wow.
Yeah. And then when I started out, it was, helping other people. I wasn't directing. So I would run camera and edit. But shortly after that, not maybe a year or so in, started kind of doing my own thing, running everything, but also doing it all mostly by myself because they're smaller projects, which then slowly grew into, having bigger crews and doing larger things. And nowadays in the last, 5-6 years, I do, much larger scale projects, but then also still do some smaller local stuff. And that's why I travel so much, because most of the time it's going to somewhere to direct a commercial type project, whether it's an ad or sometimes they're more like doc style stories and brand stories, things like that. But, and then a lot of the content I do actually write and kind of produce and direct. Like, I like the process of developing creative on a 30-second commercial or helping dig in and find the uniqueness in the stories on the doc style stuff. So that kind of answers what I do. Now, obviously in that process, there was times where I ran camera. I typically don't run camera often anymore.
Yeah. You normally have
Normally
DP,
I have another DP cinematographer that I hire for a project, and I work with different ones. And of course it just depends on the project, but every once in a while pick up a camera if needed. So the CinemaCon coverage, to kind of get to that, before leading up to CinemaCon, and actually did the same thing last year, we produced 5 doc style stories about different movie theater owners. And the CinemaCon event is put on by the National Association of Theater Owners, which actually just changed their name to Cinema United a few months ago, right before CinemaCon. So now they're called Cinema United, but it's basically the large association that all these movie theaters are part of. And they hired us through an agency, and then I got hired to produce these short docs about different movie theater owners. So that required me traveling all over the country, different places last year, and then also this year. And we do it kind of right in January, February. So then they're ready for April, when CinemaCon is, early April. This year, the same agency got the opportunity to do coverage of CinemaCon, and they didn't have a large budget, but they really wanted me to be able to get there to see these short docs that I got to direct and get to see them on the big screen, get presented. And because each one of them got put with one of the different studio presentations. And so
that's cool. You didn't tell me that part, that they showed them on the big screen.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then they actually bring the person that the story's about. They have them there if they can get them there. Like one of the people was not able to come. They already had prior engagement, and allow them to kind of almost set things up for then, hey, and now you're going to see so-and-so from Sony or whatever, the studio heads.
So what's cool is that means potentially you had some well-known directors and or actors watch something you made.
They would have been around.
It's awesome.
So then I got to go to CinemaCon and help them do the daily, or not daily, more than daily, each event recap. So we would, and so I got some B-roll coverage.
That's what I saw. You were posting stories of on Instagram of the,
and then we also got to do some red carpets, and they were more like press junket red carpets, where they weren't like trying to go crazy, pulling, like, hey, talk to me. It was more, just a handful of people there. Each actor, director, whoever it was, would come and talk to you for a little bit and let you, interview them. So I have to do that. Now, speaking of gear, actually what we record this podcast with also, I have 2 Canon C70s cinema cameras that it would have been using for the last 4 years. Maybe I've had them now. Thought about upgrading the C80s. They came out late last year. Haven't done that yet. I haven't pulled the trigger on that, but maybe soon, at least on one of them. But that's what I run a lot. So that's why I was using CinemaCon, and I have Sigma Art primes and a few zoom lenses for different other projects. And even some of the DPs I hire also have C70s. They have some other cinema glass that we use sometimes on that. But then certain projects, some of the higher end commercials and things, I'll hire a DP that with his camera package, and we'll run, like a 8K red camera or something, on the project, because with some type of cinema glass, and normally let them recommend what they want to use. But that kind of gives you an overview. I mean, if you at some point, maybe if you want to know more specifics, let me know, and I can send some more details about other nerdy tech stuff. I don't want to go too crazy. So that's what I do, how I make my money. And I used to, and to kind of wrap things up, for a long time worked inside of a marketing agency as like their lead video director. And then, almost about 2 years ago, and it was funny because it was about the same time we started this podcast.
Yeah.
Branched out on my own, kind of have my own production company, which is what I have now, and allows me to work with other agencies and not just one, and allows me to kind of start dabbling other type of content, which would be, longer form narrative and doc style stuff that I'm hoping to do soon, probably this year, dabble in that a little more. The first year and a half was trying to get my feet under I've got to run a business and actually scale. Cause what happened was I started getting a lot of work, and, which is a good problem to have. Yeah. And so all those things kind of went into play and didn't give much time for me to pursue some other creative endeavors, but hoping to getting some stuff in place the first half of this year, that as I move into the later half of this year, I'll be able to maybe tackle some of that stuff.
Hopefully a TV show and or movie eventually.
Yeah, maybe.
Would be awesome. Yeah.
Thanks, Kyle, for asking.
Thanks again for writing in, but also write in again. I'm curious. You said you're in the multimedia field.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering,
what you do.
Yeah, what do you do in that particular field? Yeah, I'm curious. But all right, cool. That's it of our feedback.
Awesome. Well, let's get into excuse me, what we were watching.
Yeah.
So some of these might cross over.
I imagine I only have one thing, and I imagine you've watched it.
All right. So do you want me to do a few, and then we'll?
Yeah, because I have one, but it's a lot.
Well,
so
did you watch The Studio?
Not the most recent one.
Okay. Well, when we say most recent, because one came out last night.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one.
But the one before that.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted, because I haven't watched the last, because we're recording a few days late. The one with the pediatric oncologist.
Yes. Yeah.
So again, I love this show, and the only reason I shout it out is because it's so nerdy and great, and
it is
for me. I think this episode was awesome to see the arguments between importance of the arts and science. Like they did it in a comic way, but comedic way. But I love to see that. And
there's still a lot of truth in what they're talking about.
100%. But they both matter.
Yes.
But the fact that they were looking down on him is is sometimes what it feels like. It's like, oh, you don't have a real job.
Yep.
And it's like, sometimes, just speaking of what I just talked about, it's like,
well, some people
I make pretty good money doing what I do. And
some people wouldn't consider it a real job.
Most people are like, oh, you didn't go to college. You didn't do it, because I didn't go to college for it,
No. Well, me neither with music, and even more so in the music industry. It's more just like, oh, well, why don't you get a real job? So I definitely know that.
So that is kind of a good stood out as just like that part of the narrative, and it was a good episode.
Yeah, they've all been good.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything about it, but I hope it does really well, and they're do more in one season.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's on Apple. I don't know if you mentioned.
Yes, The Studio on Apple TV Plus. I watched Ransom Canyon, as I promised.
Oh man,
As
Here
I
we
promised
go. All right.
last week, right?
Let's
I
hear
said I promised I'd watch some of it.
It's on Netflix.
So, yeah, this is on Netflix. So I actually ended up watching a lot of this because
Oh.
what happened was, and again, up front, we were talking about, I was in Tulsa. I came back from Tulsa with a head cold.
Yep.
And so I really needed to lay it down. And I kept wanting to to watch something I didn't need to pay pay attention to. And if I dozed off, it was fine because I was like trying to take a nap.
It's
because of being
perfect show
sick.
for that. Yeah.
And ended up watching, and so they ended up watching a lot of it, like 3 or 4 episodes on Saturday, 3 or 4 episodes on Sunday. And so I still because I think there's 10, I think I have 2 left to watch. But anyway, this show, here's the synopsis: a romance fueled family drama and contemporary Western saga that charts the intersecting lives and loves of 3 ranching families set against the sweeping tundras of the rolling river of Texas hill country.
Mm-hmm.
So what they leave out of that is there's also like, so one, this is for the type of thing it is, it's actually not bad. It's pretty entertaining. The performances are decent. I mean, like your leads are like real act. I mean, you have some real people in there acting.
Have you seen Yellowstone though?
I have not seen Yellowstone.
Okay.
And I know that's probably better than this. I just have never gotten around to watching Yellowstone.
Okay.
But what they don't put in the description is there's also like, one of the main story parts is, the classic, like big corporate company wants to buy everybody's land up and do something with it. And the main ranchers are like, no. In this case, they want to run a water line or something and whatever. So there's that kind of drama, which they don't mention in this synopsis. But the other thing is like, there's, the main character's like, he lost his son in a car accident that like he's like, and as it plays out, you start to find out like they actually like figure out, and this is like years later, like it's that it was like a hit and run, and it wasn't that, they ruled it originally as like the son was just had a drink and he died from. So there's like this investigation kind of like crime story in there too that's actually interesting, and there's a thread. So I mean, again, it's not bad for what it is.
It's not terrible. Okay.
It's not terrible. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible. It's definitely like a second screen kind of thing. Like you could be watching it.
Is it in the top 10 on Netflix? I imagine it probably is.
I don't know. But yes.
Okay.
So that's Ransom Canyon.
Yeah.
On Netflix.
I'm glad I like Josh Duhamel. But the main girl, I'm glad that she's in it because she hasn't been in anything in a while. I like her.
Yeah, they're both those two are great. And they have good chemistry. Obviously, they're the ones that are kind of like will they, won't they kind of. I
figured,
thing.
That's what it is.
He works great as a cowboy too, Josh Duhamel. Like because I remember originally came across him in the Las Vegas show when he was but he was he was like kind of like the head security guy kind of.
Yeah, that show was sick.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't hold up, but I remember loving it when it was out.
So yeah. Let's see. We do one more before we get into.
Sure.
I've got Taylor. I have 2 more, so I don't know if you want me to. Let's okay. Well, so these are the other 2. Will be quick. Watched Brett's Goldstein, The Second Best Night of Your Life. It's Brett Goldstein's stand up. It was on HBO Max.
Nice. I didn't know he did.
It's his first special, and he covers relationships and sex, Muppets, America versus British, which is also great, and some Ted Lasso references.
Nice.
All in there. Those are kind of the highlights I remembered. So I just kind of write them down. But yeah, it was, I would say, here's to say, it was good. It wasn't great. It kind of, and this happened to me with one other, I'll mention where like my expectations are higher from, I know he's a writer in Ted Lasso and Shrinking.
Yeah.
And I just expected it to be really good.
Yeah.
And it was just good. I mean, there was definitely funny moments, and I would say watch it, but like
maybe he's not as good as a stand-up, as opposed to
like
a writer.
And the same thing happened with the younger of the 2 main people in Hacks. I think her name's Hannah something.
Yeah,
her stand-up. I watched it, and it was all right. It had some funny moments, but
Mhm.
And I think she's also a writer on that show and is a lead. And so that show I think is hilarious. And it's like, and so it kind of both, I think I went into it with higher expectations, and then you're like, oh, it was all right. You know, like, yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah. And then last but not least, we have a new Apple Immersive Video, episode 5 of the Adventure series called Hill Climb.
So remind me, what is the Adventure series? What were those? Was that like the
The High Line.
High Line? Yeah. Okay.
Then it was there was like the parkour in Paris.
Right. Okay.
There's 2 others I'm drawing a blank on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's the shark diving. It probably was in there or something. And maybe the ice fit. I don't know. There's the ice swimming or something too.
Okay.
I can't remember. Because some of them it's like they're called something else, and you're like, oh, okay, that's not an adventure. That's something else. But whatever. And of course, these are the Apple immersive experiences that are 180, 8K, 3D experiences, just for the so
this is expensive to watch this because you need a
Apple Vision
Apple
Pro.
Vision Pro, which I do not have.
But if you do, so what this one's called is called Hill Climb. This is, we ride along with driver Laura Hayes as she races to break the women's rally car record at Pikes Peak on the International Hill Climb.
Okay.
So just as these always do, they do a great job of making you feel like you're there in a way that nothing else can. Mm-hmm. And this one was awesome. Like I like this, like seeing this crazy fast rally car. It was a Toyota Supra, what they were running up the mountain. And then, you know, going from drone shots of it whipping around to like in camera in the car with her, and the training she did and all the, yeah, it was good. It was a good one. I really enjoyed it.
Cool.
Yeah. So sorry, that one's one of those that, like, I don't know if anybody listening could actually watch, but
yeah,
I like to talk about them anyway because it's cool stuff.
Oh, it's cool. Like
And
new future.
also circling
technology.
back around, you know, one of the reasons I have one of these is eventually I do have a client that might potentially want to produce something content for this. So that's kind of, I need to know and understand it so that's mainly why I bought one because I knew my world would end up there at some point.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, it's great for watching things on the plane while I fly around.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. You can feel like you're actually in a movie theater or sitting on the beach watching something.
Yep. Only if they could add smells, it would be really convincing.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. That needs to be the next feature.
Yeah. All right. So the last but not least, because this is fantastic, Andor season 2.
Yep. That's the one I have.
Episode 1 through 3 we dropped. Did you watch all 3?
No, because I want to mention I rewatched all of season 1. That's why this is my only thing I have down for this week.
Right on.
Because I also
I wish I had the time to do that.
This is really it that I watched. Because I remember mentioning on the pod that I didn't really like when this show first came out. I didn't really like it. A lot of it had to do with I was expecting Rogue One, and it wasn't that. But watching it again this time, I liked it a lot more because I kind of had my expectations right for it. So yeah, I liked it way more this first season, this time through watching it. And I want to say the main thing that I love about this show and continues into season 2 is just how incredible it looks visually, and the practical elements, and even the CG though, like, looks insanely good. Like in this,
you can't see it basically.
No. It feels like really tactile and real, and it feels like original Star Wars, just like Rogue One did when it came out. And that's some of the stuff I love the most about this show, even though obviously Tony Gilroy is great at writing dialogue, but or it's his brother also, I think, writes on it. But anyway, so yeah, and going into season 2, I only watched the first episode so far, but
yeah, so you
still like it,
did watch the first episode
of the new season, yeah. So you watched all three?
Halfway through the third one.
Okay.
And so I didn't quite finish the third one, but yes.
Well, there's 6 now.
I know, because they just dropped 3
It's
more.
crazy they're doing it that way.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to keep up with this.
Yeah.
The opening stuff with him as like a test pilot,
Yes.
undercover, and then the stuff with, like, trying to fly this like prototype TIE fighter, and
That was awesome.
like him not being able to figure out how to fly it and all that, like that, such a good written / shot, like put together scene. Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, it's I was looking forward to this season, especially just because it's like the lead. I'm assuming it's going to lead right into Rogue One. You know, at the end of this,
they say it is, yeah.
which is very exciting. So I'm curious, like, who all we're going to see.
Beginning of Rogue One, he gets an informant and then kills him.
Yeah. I'm just curious, like, who all we'll see and how much like they'll put from Rogue One into this season, you know, leading up to it.
Yeah.
We've already seen Saul Guerrero. He was in season 1, and I'm assuming he's going to be in this season also, but other people, you know, I'm curious about that. Yeah. So I'm all into Andor now. I just really didn't like it when I first watched it, but it does feel different than Rogue One. I think that was my thing initially. I thought it was going to be Rogue One. Like when the show first came out, I thought it was going to feel just like it, and it didn't to me. But once I knew what the show was, then I liked it.
Yeah, it's because, and Rogue One wouldn't work as a TV show, right? Like it needs to be something more like what it is.
Yeah.
But it's more like a spy kind of thriller, kind of like undercover.
It's not really Star Wars at all. That's why it's like.
But it is.
No, but I mean like the type of story it is.
Oh, right. Yes, it's not the hero's journey story, which is like.
No, but I mean, I love it's like just like with Rogue One. I love that it's the origins of the rebellion.
Yep.
Which is really cool aspect of it.
Yeah, for sure.
It just looks incredible, and even season 2. We'll watch season 1 and then go into season 2. I was like, this.
Does it look better? Like, do you see them back to back?
It does look better, but the main thing is just, I think specifically with Star Wars, because not really on the Marvel side, but Star Wars has some of the best looking visuals, like CG wise. Like, I don't know if they have the most time that they can dedicate to it, but
right,
it just looks great. Because I remember Mandalorian, the times you couldn't tell it was like in a dome or, you know, the volume, but yeah, just looks really great. So like the ships, like you talked about the opening of this season of Andor. Yeah, him stealing the TIE fighter. Yeah, looked amazing.
So Andor on Disney Plus.
Yeah. So we have half of it already for this season.
Right, because they're just dropping 3 episodes every week, which is crazy.
We got 2 more weeks and then it'll be done. Which is, I don't know why.
I'm gonna have to savor it. There's no way.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna take my time with it. Yeah.
I'm not gonna just binge through it.
That's also why, like, I kind of binged through season 1, but then that's why I only watched this first episode of season 2, because I kind of want to go a little slower with it.
Cool. Maybe I'll slow down to 1 a week, and we'll talk about episode 2 next week.
Yeah.
Briefly. Yeah. I may even rewatch it. That way I know fresh what it's in there. But
I think The Studio is like the only show I rewatch, but it's short also. But like that's the one I like to rewatch.
All right. Well, we know what time it is.
Yes.
It's time for Based or Waste.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to Based or Waste. This is the internet game show. It is based on Rotten Tomatoes. We go in there. We check and see what's trending. Sorry, my voice is giving out on me for no reason. We check and see what's trending. TV or movies. and we go off of the audience score. And I'm going to pick 10 of them, and Josh is going to guess if the audience score is based or waste, if it's good or bad. We are back to movies. Are you ready, Josh?
I'm ready.
Okay. The last movie one, I think, was Perfect.
Was it?
I think so. So you got a lot
it's
to live up to.
All downhill from here.
All right. First one is A Working Man.
Sounds familiar, but I'm trying to picture what this is.
Wow, I'm blanking on his name. He does like the same movies all the time. Why am I blanking on his name? The transporter guy.
Oh, gotcha. Yes.
Jason Statham. There we go. This is his new movie.
Mm.
Like before this was Beekeeper, and he does a bunch of movies.
So I heard good things about Beekeeper. I never watched it. But...
I haven't either, but maybe it was good. I don't know about this one though. I don't know how it is. Does the world like it though?
Yeah, no, that's the question. I'm going to say based.
Yes, it's at 87.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
All right, next one is The Woman in the Yard, which I think is most recent. Either Blumhouse, A24, something like that, horror movie.
I'm going to say waste.
Correct.
Yes.
Did we already do this one?
No.
No? Good guess. Okay. I don't know. Some of these I'm like, I can't remember if we did them last time or not.
No, I mean, if we did, I don't remember it either.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, this is a 46.
It was more of I haven't heard of this one, really.
Okay.
So if we can't be getting too much buzz.
All right. Next is The Accountant. The Accountant
the first
movie.
One.
Yeah.
I'm going to say based on this one.
Yep, 77. We will have the other Accountant movie on here too, actually, I think.
Which, what came out and debuted 3 at the box office?
It debuted what?
At 3rd in the box office.
Did it?
Sinners was still above it, and so was, we were talking about Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
20th anniversary release.
Mm-hmm.
A re-release in theaters.
All right. This next one's interesting. Don't know why it's trending. Passion of the Christ. Oh, are they doing
Easter?
Sure, yeah. But also, isn't Mel Gibson trying to do something else with this?
Maybe.
I think I saw something about that. But
it's probably just because of Easter.
Yeah, you're right. It was just Easter.
Well, this one's obviously based.
Yes. And how dare you if you said this was a waste? How dare you say God was a waste? Yeah, 81. Yep.
How can you not give it a 10? Come on.
I know. I honestly haven't seen it.
No, it's
so long that I don't know how it is.
It's well made. It's well made.
Because that's probably 20 years old now too. It was probably mid 2000s.
Getting close.
Maybe even older than that. I don't remember when it came out. All right. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. It's a little tricky.
We'll say based.
This is one I never watched because this was in Marvel where I'm just like, I'm just done with Marvel. But we'll see. Maybe Thunderbolts will revive it. Yeah, it's a 94.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Very high. I know.
Okay, I was
surprising.
I was thinking, okay, it's got to be above like a 55. Like it's so.
No, it's yeah.
I was like, so
very surprising. All right, halfway through, perfect score so far.
All right,
here we go. Very timely. We were just talking about Rogue One.
Oh, this is based.
Yeah, 87.
Now see, okay. How is that at 87?
Right.
And Black Panther Wakanda Forever 94. The first Black Panther movie was really good.
Yes.
Second one was fine, but it was not.
Right. It's not better than Rogue One.
It's not better than Rogue One.
No, not even close.
But,
I'm saying recently the audience has been weird about ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know.
Can't always trust. You can't always trust the masses.
No, you can't. All right, here we go. Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith back in theaters.
I mean, again, this is It's got to be based. It's got to be above.
Yeah, but it's a little more realistic because we were just before the pod we were kind of having a debate about it. It's a 66.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's where also Wakanda Forever, I was like,
Yeah.
it's probably in the 60s, which is still a base, but like it's not. And then, of course, it's in 94, which is
Yeah, that's
ridiculous.
insanely high. Write in, people, or leave a comment. Where are you at on Revenge of the Sith? Because Josh and I differ on it.
Well, how do you rate the prequels?
Sure, let's do that of the three.
Which is well, I think we all agree the originals are the best.
4, 5, and 6. Yeah.
Yes. Let's just that's not even up for
Yes.
debate. And if you think otherwise, sorry, but
You're wrong.
you're wrong. So then you
We're
take the
gonna get
prequels,
a lot of comments on
Phantom
this.
Menace,
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones, and
Revenge of
Revenge
the
of the Sith. How do you rate those from which one is the best to the least of those?
Right.
Let us know. All right.
Okay.
Okay, we got 3 more.
Yes, 3 more. The Accountant 2.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say waste.
Oh, interesting. No, this is very high. This is a 92 based.
Oh, okay.
This is better than the first one
This is crazy.
right now, apparently.
I was thinking maybe people just weren't liking it because it's not doing well in the box office.
Is it
but
not?
No.
Hmm. Interesting.
But it's produced. It's put out by Amazon, right? MGM.
I don't know.
So then, if it's looking in, I mean, the variables on the financials of it don't matter as much. Then it doesn't have to make a lot of money at the box office
True.
if they really are like, well, it's going to end up on streaming, and we just make it's just an asset to the overall.
It does seem like one that is going to come to streaming very quick, I imagine. Like, doesn't stay in theaters long. All right. Last 2. Until Dawn. It's the video game. You said you were
Yeah.
interested in this. Yeah.
I said it looked like a good premise.
Yeah.
I'm going to say based.
Yes. 70.
Nice.
All right. Last one. Your shirt. If you're sinners.
This is based. This has got to be based.
I know. Everyone seems to love this movie.
Yeah.
This is at a 97.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised it's that high of a rating. Like, I haven't seen anything, people say anything bad about this film.
Everyone says it's a great movie. That's
Yeah.
I'd like to go see it. I just haven't been able to make the time.
Yeah.
Make it work.
Yeah, I would like to see it also. But write in, let us know if you've seen it. Why is it rated so high? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So
It's like, yeah, insanely high. All right. Oh, so you did which one did you get wrong?
the Accountant too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, apparently that's good.
I was just banking on maybe that one didn't go as well because
Yeah.
people still liked it. The audience still liked it.
Right. Okay. Well, still very good. 9 out of 10. Good job, Josh. All right. We'll be back to TV next week. That has been Based or Waste. Tune in next week.
All right. All right. Let's get into The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 3, The Path.
Mm-hmm.
After Dina shares crucial intel, Ellie prepares to petition the town council. Near Seattle, a religious group flees a war.
Mm.
All right. Overall thoughts.
Yeah. This show looks very expensive in season 1. And this season, it looks even more expensive. I would just notice that this episode. Like, you could really see the budget. Overall for this episode, though, it was okay. I didn't like it that much, but it wasn't bad. Deviated a lot again, also, but yeah, so it was just fine for me.
Yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, it's the necessary episode, right? It's you need
The aftermath.
the aftermath, and just kind of the transition to set up where the rest of the probably more or less what the rest of the story is going to be.
But it's like we're almost halfway through now already because there's only going to be 7 episodes, which is weird.
Yeah.
So
How many was the first season?
Either 9 or 10.
Oh,
I
okay.
want to say.
Oh,
Yeah.
they did less. Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't realize.
Yeah. No, I checked recently. It is only 7 for this season.
Man, I don't remember the other one being that long, but I figured it was about 6 or 7 in the other.
I don't think it was 10. It was probably 8 or 9,
Okay.
if I had to guess.
Well,
So just okay for you also with this episode?
yeah. I mean, there were some nice moments,
Oh, yeah.
which we'll talk about, but
Yes.
like the overall, like, yeah, not much happened. I mean,
No.
so
I'm just I'm fact checking right now because I'm curious. Season 1 of Last of Us was 9 episodes. Season 2 is 7.
okay.
It is renewed, but yeah, I wonder why it's
Well,
they're not doing as many for that.
they're taking the second video game and putting it into 2 seasons. So
Maybe even 3 seasons since this one's short. I don't know how much they're going to spread this out.
well, we start off with more of the immediate aftermath, and we see Joel's body, and Tommy's in there.
Yep.
So that was, I mean, it's a nice moment, but
It was a nice moment. I think the scene with Ellie a little bit later, I think, was way stronger.
I agree. And really, Pedro Pascal was not laying there on the table.
No.
So
He's got too many other things to film.
I know. He's in everything. Single-handedly holding up the whole film industry.
Yeah.
And then we get the brief scene of Ellie waking up in a hospital, screaming, and then she sees the flash of Joel's death again, and they sedate her. And then we jump 3 months.
Yeah.
Show just jumping around. I mean,
yeah. I mean, this is kind of necessary. Like, there's a lot jumping around in the original story in the game too. So kind of necessary, but it is strange doing it this much already.
yeah,
in this
it's
season.
unusual in TV and film kind of storytelling. But yeah, video game. But I mean, it's effective to give time for things to feel real, like like I mean, for it to make sense. Like she had to heal. Like she couldn't just
right
head
to
out.
move the plot forward. Yeah, you're right for sure. It would need some time to pass, or else this would have been even slower of an episode. This would have been really
just Ellie in the hospital.
yeah.
So we get the scene with Ellie talking to the psychologist, Gail.
Yeah, it's good to see her again.
Like how she's like, "How you doing?" She's like, "Fine." She's like, "You answered too quick."
Yep.
Then she's like, "Ask me again." And then she's like, "I'm fine." Gail kind of probes. It's interesting. She shares a little bit about what her and Joel talked about, but of course he never really fully came out and told her.
No.
So now he's pretty much gone to the grave with that information, the specifics. But we know whatever her name is that killed him, she knows.
Abby,
that's her name. Yeah. So,
well, let me ask you, like, do you think they're going to fill in stuff? Like, I'm sure you assume like your Pedro Pascal is going to be in this at least.
yeah, I think I told
Like they're going to do a
last
flashback.
week.
Yeah.
I said, the obvious way to
Right.
just keep him in the show some would be, and you wouldn't do it every episode, but you could have some flashback scenes of
Yeah.
things, them interacting, or
And then they still would film it all in a relatively small window because he probably didn't have a lot of time to film in this season. So,
and maybe develop more him and Dina's relationship, because really we don't have as much knowledge of that as we do of his and Ellie's. So
I do want to mention her again. I think her performance is awesome. Isabella Marquette. I don't know how to
Yeah.
say her last name.
She's doing great.
She's as Dina, she's great.
Yeah, so she gets dismissed. She visits Joel's house, and this is where she pulls the jacket, sniffs the jacket. And this stuff's where, like, great performance from Bella Ramsey.
Yeah. This is the one that was
Yeah,
effective.
it's like very touching, very touching. And then Dina arrives at the house and tells Ellie she knows who are the people that killed Joel.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of gives her names, gives her and says they're the Liberation Front, WLF, in Seattle. So they have to go to the town hall meeting to get the town council to approve a large group to go after these people, which makes sense. That's how these things will probably go.
Mm-hmm.
And though, Ellie giving a great speech, they make the probably wise decision to just let it go and not lose more people that they already lost a bunch from the zombie attack the day before, or 3 months before now at this point. But
Who do you think actually voted the other way out of them? Because I was thinking about that in the episode. I don't know who actually
voted against doing it.
Yeah.
Well, most of them voted against doing it, didn't they? Say it was
sorry. So who voted yes then?
Oh,
Because there was a couple.
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, it's just interesting to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. So 8 of the 11 rejected the proposal. So 3.
Okay. Yeah.
And then there's a nice little interaction with Tommy and Gail, and get a nice quote about some people cannot be saved. That Gail says about Ellie, which is interesting. And
Yeah.
so then Ellie prepares to leave to Seattle by herself. She's going to go. And then Dina, of course, shows up and says, well, I'll join you. And she actually prepares properly and gets her the supplies. And like, what she had to say, like, did you get Band-Aids or first? I don't know. She asked her something and she's like, I'm going to get.
Oh, yeah. Ellie was going to go
Like,
not prepared at all.
No. So they head out. It's funny, like, it was like reminding me of like the Appalachian Trail near us, like they're just roaming through. But we get the scene where Ellie leaves a coffee on beans on Joel's grave, like that. That was a nice touch.
Yes, that's one of my notes because I only have 2 notes, but that was one of them. I really like that. Which I don't know how much you remember from season 1. Like, Joel was always a huge coffee guy, so that's the point of it. But I don't know how much they touch on it in the show because it's brought up a lot in the game, and he talks to Ellie a lot about like coffee and like that's like one of the biggest things he misses from before, So yeah, that was a great moment.
So then, so Ellie and Dina start traveling to Seattle. The first night, I guess they're in the tent, whatever, and they start talking about the kiss. And they kind of claim it meant nothing. But Dina's like, I'm not gay, but you are. So, what would you think?
Yeah. Would she rate it? What was it like?
I don't remember.
6 out of 10. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, something like that. Yeah.
Just interesting, like the dynamic there. Like, it's like I don't know. I mean, obviously Ellie would like something to happen,
right? But
and then even Dina, I think, is like not opposed to it, but like still playing coy about it. But
Yeah, because we know that she, we don't know how long she dated Jesse, but that's who she was with before. Because they just broke up, right? When like season 2 starts, they mention, or
Yeah.
Jesse mentions they just broke up. Yeah.
So then later, we get the sequence about this religious group showing them.
Yeah.
They seem a little more old school, like right?
Yeah, I'm really curious what you think of this group of people.
I mean, they're gone. Doesn't matter. Because
Did they say the name of this group at all in this episode?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right.
So then we get them killed by the WLF,
Yeah.
and then later Ellie and Dina come across them on the path, and well, it's interesting that Dina vomits.
Mm-hmm.
Is she pregnant? Anytime anybody vomits on camera, it's
Right.
always the question.
Yeah.
Because they even talk about it being like, I don't normally feel it, and she's like,
Yeah. So this is my only note about this religious group is this whole aspect, to your point of like, it seems like more their ways are way more like old school and kind of like very like old traditional religion type of group, or potentially a cult. This whole aspect, or like, and if I don't know how much the show is going to get into it, but the lore of this group and like just this whole group in general is like one of the most interesting things of this story and this world, because we had no idea about them at all in the first game and first season. So this is a really cool aspect of the story, I think.
yeah, we're definitely cool world building for
Yes.
sure.
There's someone else besides the WLF and obviously everyone at Jackson. And
Yeah. And then we kind of arrive at Seattle. We first, as viewers, get a glance of the WLF and how many there are,
yeah.
and the fact that they have like tanks and machinery and stuff. That and then the girls show up and they kind of see it, and it's kind of where we end. But
Yeah, that's really it.
they're just kind of there. So I mean,
We didn't see Abby at all in this episode, right? I don't think they showed.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
You don't remember that.
that's surprising.
So
So she must be in a lot next episodes, I imagine.
So first of all, like, how the
Yeah.
heck they're not? I mean, there's no way they can. Two little girls are gonna. I should say little girls. They're not. They're young women
2 young women.
that
Yeah.
are well trained,
Yeah.
but still,
Yeah.
two-
No matter how well
two
trained you
people.
are. Yeah.
Let's just say 2 people, because even if they were 2 men,
Yes.
realistically, and this show tries to be pretty realistic, so there's no way they're gonna take out a bunch of people,
No.
especially with tanks and whatnot like that. So yeah, so I don't know where this is going or how this is going to work, but it doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. Well, besides that, yeah, anything else you think, like looking ahead, what do you think is going to happen? Obviously, they're on the path now, name of the episode, to
Seattle,
finding Abby.
they, well, at least
Or
yeah,
Abby's
finding
group.
Abby, yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously, especially Ellie, pretty stubborn, so she's probably going to go in for it anyway. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I really have no idea, because it seems like there's not. I don't know what it would go from here that would make sense.
Well, there's obviously a reason why, even though they're all dead now, there's obviously a reason why they showed this other group besides the WLF.
So I guess maybe there's more of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
can-
saying anything story wise. It's just like this is potentially a whole nother, this
Yeah.
is some other specific group or cult or whatever that has a very different way of thinking and doing things.
Yeah.
The most interesting thing is they communicate by whistling,
Right.
which is
That's
awesome.
right.
So that's awesome.
Yeah. There was one thing I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Just the broader thing in this story. I mean, I find it interesting, and I was trying to think if there was any other examples. Couldn't think of any. Where you take a show that you have a lead, and Joel was the lead.
Yeah.
In all season 1. Ellie was the kind of secondary, and then you kill off that lead. I mean, maybe Game of Thrones kind of did it.
Yeah.
But Game of Thrones was much more ensemble thing. You had other people that were kind of also leads, and yes, Ned Stark kind of is almost our protagonist, but like they definitely is not the.
Oh yeah, he definitely was set up that way. Yeah.
He was one of them, but like it's not the same. I mean, this is like the show was basically about Joel.
Well, now it's changing. Yeah, it's shifting
So then
to
the shift that and not just shift it, but like take it from one person to another and make it work. And so we'll see. I mean, like I don't know. I mean, now they haven't done much to really move that one way or the other, but I just think it's interesting. It's definitely
it's not something that's
done often, if at all. And I think it's we'll see if it's successful, because then it's going to put a lot of pressure on.
Right, like are they going to keep the viewership?
Right.
Yeah. How will it do after? Yeah.
Bella Ramsey to carry that. So
yeah. Well, it seems like it's going to have to be more of an ensemble now because of that.
I mean, right now it's just the two of them. Then, they're back to the same setup. Just instead of being Joel and Ellie, it's now Ellie and Dina.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it's just an interesting observation that, and it's not like they did a lot to, in this episode, they did a lot to like, I mean, I guess we did some, but like, trying to get us to really know, I guess, and feel for Ellie. And they did a little bit, but
yeah, they did.
Yeah, I don't know. Just it'll be interesting to see.
Well, I guess what only last thing I'm curious about, because I already was vocal about how don't really like what they're doing with Ellie's character in this. How do you feel about her right now? I mean, you kind of mentioned a little bit about how she has to be one of our main people now, but her character, how she's portrayed. How do you feel about it 3 episodes in?
I think it's fun.
Okay. All right. I think she's a little too bratty and annoying. Like she's obviously always has been that way and like hard-headed for sure. So was Joel. It just seems like they're taking it to the extreme. And I just don't like that aspect of it. Like a little over the top, but we'll see.
Well, we will find out next Sunday.
4 or 5, 6. Yeah, 4 more episodes. That's all we got.
Episode 4.
Yeah.
So, well, let us know if you have any thoughts about this episode of Last of Us. What do you think about Ellie's performance or the character? What do you think about the role switch? Who's the lead? Do you think of any other examples where they've done that? Maybe there's something we haven't seen.
Yeah.
And done it successfully. I was argue Game of Thrones like the closest thing I can think of that I feel like it's kind of, but again, it was such a larger ensemble. Like you had other storylines that with characters that were also so, and you could argue that again, Jon Snow and what's her name?
Arya Stark.
No. The
Oh,
Dragon-
Daenerys.
yeah,
Daenerys Targaryen. Yeah.
like her storyline, was simply separate, and like you
Yeah.
could argue they were the primary characters, but
Yeah.
and of course they were always there and had parallel storylines that were happening while like Ned Stark's story was happening, or even the son later, who then also spoilers dies.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I feel like that's the only thing I can think of that kind of, but again,
Yeah.
they weren't so relying on, definitely with what's his name playing Ned Stark, like kind of made
Sean
it feel,
Bean, yeah.
Sean Bean made it feel that way, like he had more
Oh, yeah.
weight than any other character in that first season. But yeah, I still think this is more extreme. This is like
It is.
yeah, and so anyway,
We'll see how I'm very curious how the viewership
Yeah.
will be for the rest of this season.
so let us know.
Yeah.
You can write in feedback at screentimepod.com or watch, like or subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And if you'd like to follow us individually on our Instagrams, I'm at JYoungBar.
And I'm at Jared Youngbar.
All right. Talk to you guys next time.